Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of our series, New Year Healthy Habits. Today, we're going to be talking about our third pillar of lifestyle medicine, which is stress management. So, we're going to start talking about what is stress. Stress comes in a bunch of different forms: acute stress, chronic stress, episodic acute stress, which is basically just a bunch of little stressors that keep reoccurring, physical stress, like an injury or illness, psychological stress, anxiety, environmental stress, things that are happening around you, such as living conditions that may be difficult to live in, something like driving to and from work in traffic, both directions for 2 hours each. That's the environment that we live in. Traumatic stress, something like major accidents or major life experiences, workplace stress, and social stress. So a ton of different sources of stress in our lives, and I guarantee each and every one of us experiences at least a handful of these on the page on the daily basis. So stress is perpetuated by a chemical, or when we do face stress in our lives, a chemical in our body becomes prominent, and this is the chemical called cortisol. And so cortisol is produced in response to stress. So the way I like to think about cortisol is from an evolutionary perspective and from an evolutionary perspective of stress. So if you think about our ancestors way back when they roamed the earth with the woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and all of these crazy animals, and they were faced with fight or flight scenarios really on the daily basis. And so when we're faced in this fight or flight scenario, we need a surge of energy. And our body does this through cortisol by increasing glucose production in our liver. So it says, I need to run away from that tiger. I need a ton of glucose in my bloodstream so I can run away. It also inhibits our immune system. While we're running away from that tiger, our body doesn't need to be fighting a chronic illness or a virus. It needs to be shunting all of its energy towards running away from the tiger. Cortisol also follows a natural circadian rhythm, so it peaks about every 24 hours. And then cortisol is also used to maintain blood pressure in times of stress. So to understand this, I like to think of the concept of sepsis. So in the medical world, sepsis is very scary, and one of the most common causes is severe infection. So when our body has super bad infection, our blood pressure actually gets really low. And the lower it gets, the more dangerous it gets. And so cortisol is produced in response to our bodily stress, such as infection, with the goal of maintaining blood pressure. So you can think of cortisol as really great if we're responding to significant infection or running away from a tiger. But if we experience chronic elevation of cortisol from stressors in our life, it can actually lead to some pretty significant effects over time. So it could cause us to gain weight. It could cause our immune system to be weakened constantly. It can cause anxiety. It could also cause insomnia. As I mentioned, cortisol follows a natural circadian cycle, so a natural 24-hour cycle. And if we have alterations in our cortisol, it can cause insomnia and sleep disturbance, as well as diabetes and hypertension. So we mentioned that cortisol tells the liver to put a bunch of sugar in the blood so we can run away from a tiger, but that can also cause diabetes over time. Also, it maintains our blood pressure. So over time, chronic elevations of cortisol can cause high blood pressure as well. So let's just take a quick look at some stress reduction strategies. So one of the best ways for stress reduction is physical activity, mindfulness and meditation, which we'll talk about in one of our next videos. Adequate sleep, we'll talk about that as well. Social support, so having friends and family, being able to vent, being able to commiserate with other people really is a great stress reducer. And spiritual practices as well are a great way to reduce the stress we have in our life. So I want to try this exercise with you. It's called box breathing. So this little graphic kind of shows the concept. And you can make this your own so it's more comfortable. But basically, we want to breathe in for about 4 seconds at a time. Hold that breath full air in our lungs for about 4 seconds. Breathe out over the course of about 4 seconds and then hold our empty lung for about 4 seconds and repeat that a couple of times. So let's go ahead and give a try. We'll do it together. We'll do 2 circles around the box. So we'll start by breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold there, 2, 3, 4. In, 3, 4. Hold full lung, 2, 3, 4. Blow out, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and resume your regular breathing. So I really love the box breathing technique. Honestly, it just takes me 2 or 3 times around the box of just focusing on my breathing, getting my mind off things during the day, and it only takes a couple of seconds to do, and I really do think it just gives me a couple of seconds to think about my breathing and to kind of distract myself from some of my other stressors in the day. So I challenge you, just like in previous videos, to try and maybe pick one of these stress reduction strategies today to see if you can implement it into your life. Give it a go for today. See what you like. You could try something different tomorrow. But that's my daily challenge. And I'll share my resources. Again, American College of Lifestyle Medicine. The Mayo Clinic has a great article on stress management. And the American Psychological Association also has a really great article on stress. So once again, I'll see you tomorrow and have a great rest of your day.